Okay, so I'm going to talk you through actually threading your machine now. So we have our thread and we have our empty bobbin. And first of all, we're going to put our thread onto the spindle. Now you may have a vertical spindle or you may have a horizontal spindle. If you have a vertical spindle, then you need to put the little stopper, sorry, a horizontal spindle, you need to put the stopper on the end. Vertical spindle won't have a stopper. And we're going to take our thread and we need to wind our bobbin. Okay, we need to wind the bobbin. So we're going to take our thread, and there is actually a little hole in the top here. And so in theory, you're supposed to thread that through the hole and then put it on here. But I tend to not do that. I pop the bobbin on and then click it over to the right. There's always a little metal spindle on the right hand side of your machine for the bobbin to go on. So you just place it on, click it over to the right. You're going to take your thread and you have a look on the left. There is always a little metal screw. And your thread is going to come around the screw. Make sure it actually slides in between the little metal plate and the screw. And when you pull it, you'll feel there's a little bit of tension on it. The thread's going to come from the back of the bobbin and you're going to go around clockwise. And you're going to wrap it around a few times until when you pull this tail, it doesn't slide. Okay, so make sure it doesn't slide. And then on this machine, when I've clicked it over to the right, it's come up with SP for spin, ready to wind the bobbin. Some machines you need to disengage the needle, so you need to pull the wheel out or twist it, and you may have to refer to your manual to check. Then I'm going to keep it on fast if you've got a speed control. I'm going to put my foot down on the pedal and we're going to wind the bobbin. Here we go. So normally this is quite exciting if you haven't done it before. It's not very exciting for me. And if you keep going all the way until you'll see that it stops by itself. So it slows down and now we can stop. And it will just come to a stop by itself and then you know it's full, or it will just slow down. And then you're going to lift off and the thread, it will still be attached. So we're going to grab some scissors and we're going to cut it in half. And I'm going to put my bobbin down on the table for now and we're going to come back to our thread at the top. Okay, so we're going to now thread our sewing machine. We're going to take our thread and we're going to come around the back. There's a hook around the back. We're going to come down this gap here. We're going to come around and back up. We're going to come around. You should be able to see the top of the needle shafts coming out of the top, and there is a hook. You should be able to slide your thread. As you come around, it will slide through here, and then you're going to come down here. On this machine, there is a hook here. There is always a hook at the top of the needle. And then it comes straight down the needle. Now to thread the needle, you will put your thread through from front to back, or this machine has a needle threader. So I'm going to pull it down, swing this forward. My thread comes across the front. There is a tiny hook that has come through the eye of the needle, and when I release this, it will pull that thread back. Amazing technology today. And there is my needle threaded. Okay, so that's pretty simple. You just follow the instructions. They normally now have arrows and things around. Okay, so then we're going to move on to our bobbin. And our bobbin, we want it to be a letter P with our thread hanging down. Okay, we are going to drop it into the machine, place your finger on top and pull it across to the left. There is a tiny little click. Okay, you will then hold your thread from your needle and you will turn the wheel towards you, which will make the needle go down, and as it comes back up it will pick up the thread from the bottom. Okay, you will tuck both threads through the foot and behind and place the cover on. So I just wanted to clarify a few points. First of all, the needle threader, when you pull it down, sometimes there can be a habit of the hook. It's so tiny, the little hook that goes through the eye of the needle. I don't know if you could even see it. I need to put my glasses on to see mine, but it can slide down the side of the needle, and if it hasn't come through the eye, it's not going to be able to pull the thread back. So if it's not working, that's the thing to check. The other thing is that when you first start, it's very easy. You put it there and then you let go of it because it's really tricky to get used to holding it in position. So I tend to hold it with my middle finger and I make sure that it's pressed so that the hook is through the eye of the needle as you pull this thread across the front. When you let go, it should be holding that thread in place now, so I can release the thread. It's holding it in place, and as I pull the lever forward, it's going to pull the thread back through the eye of the needle, and there's the thread behind. Okay, so that's the first thing. Your thread, you do not want to put it under the foot. Okay, as soon as you put it under the foot, when you pull the bobbin thread up, especially if the foot is down, it's got nowhere to come up for you to pull it out. So you want to have your foot lifted and you want your thread to be from the needle straight out to the left. Okay, so I'm going to release that for a second. I'm going to use this green thread. I'm hoping that you're going to be able to see this. So with the letter P, you're going to drop it into the casing for the bobbin, and it's going to come, there's a little slice in the center, so not over on the right hand side. You don't want to pull it in from the right hand side, it's just going to get jammed in the mechanism. There's a little slice here, and there's actually an arrow on the plate to show you, and it's the slice in the center. So I'm just going to rest my finger on the bobbin and I'm going to pull it and slide it over to the left. Okay, when it gets to there, I'm going to pull the thread in my hand, this one here, I'm going to pull it and it will pull this loop up. Okay, if you imagine if that was underneath, you wouldn't see it. So you have to have the thread up above so that this loop jumps up, and then you can pull this loop out. Okay, and then tuck them both through and behind out of the way to start sewing. All right, that's when you're going to put your cover on. If you put your cover on before the bobbin thread is up through this hole, you're going to trap it in the side and then it won't be able to move when you start sewing. Okay, so there's your bobbin and your needle all threaded. I will show you now if you have a bottom loading bobbin. I will show you how we do that. Your front loading bobbin will have a door that opens, and inside it will look like this. You can remove the bobbin casing and drop the bobbin into it. The thread will slide down the gap in the side and pull through to the hole. You can hold the bobbin casing with the lever on the back and push it into the opening in the machine. Once placed into position, leave the bobbin casing and go back to your needle, hold the thread from your needle out to the left and turn the wheel in exactly the same way as the top loading bobbin to bring the thread up. Okay, so we're going to set your machine up for your first bit of sewing. Okay, so we're going to come to our dials and we're going to set it to a straight stitch. So that is the symbol that looks like a dotted line. And on this machine, the light is on the hash key, which is showing you which stitch to choose. You may have a dial with the different stitches, and you're going to choose the one that corresponds to the dotted line. Okay, that's your straight stitch. Now the width of the stitch is going to be 0 because it is a straight line. This machine, when I click it down, it actually shows you the position of the needle, which is 3.5, because the maximum width of this space that the needle can move is 7. I'll put it up, that's the maximum, 7. And so 3.5 is in the middle. But it will always do a straight line, so it's just moving the needle's position when I move that number up and down. The line will always be straight that it stitches. And the next one, so this one, you just want it to be in the, if it's on a dial, just put it on straight stitch and it should put it in the right position, and your width should be at 0. Okay. The length of the stitch, now that's more important. Your length of your stitch, we want it to be around 2.5. Now this machine automatically does it to 2.2. I'm going to put that up. It goes up in 2s, so it's 2.4 is a great size of stitch. The reason we want this size of stitch and not 2.2 is because smaller than this is really difficult to unpick, and it just makes your life more difficult. Larger, if you go up to 3, then it's not as strong. So they will all stitch absolutely fine, and for your practice it doesn't really matter, but as a general rule, when you're doing a straight stitch, I always recommend around 2.5. Okay, so once that's set up, so straight stitch, make sure the needle's in the middle position and a length of around 2.5. Okay, we're going to place some fabric under, and we're going to lower the lever to drop the foot down so it is pressing on the fabric, and now the fabric should not move from underneath. You're going to go ahead and just put your foot down on the pedal. If you have a speed control, you can put that to wherever you're comfortable. If you don't have a speed control, it's just the pressure of your foot on the pedal. Okay? I want you to try going forward, and I want you to try pressing your reverse, which is either a lever to pull down or it's a button, and hold it down the whole time you want to go backwards, and the machine should sew backwards. Okay? When you let go, you're going to come forwards again. When you want to turn around, if you turn the wheel so that your needle is in the fabric, you lift the foot and you pivot around the needle. Okay? If you always do it like that, then you will get nice sharp corners and you won't get holes in your corners. When we're going to come down the next side, we can go a little bit and just build your confidence. Obviously you can take as long as you like, but I'm going to change stitch. So I'm going to go to my zigzag stitch, which is number 8 on my machine. So where the hash key is related to which stitch I'm choosing, I'm going to go up to number 8. The width and the length we are going to play with. So I'm going to start with a low width. So I'm going to go down to 1 centimetre wide. And the length is at 2. I'm going to leave it at 2 and I'm going to show you the difference. So we're going to stitch a few stitches. It's really tiny. And then I'm going to put it up. And then I'm going to put it up. And you can see that my stitch is getting wider and wider as I go along. Okay, then we're going to come the other way down. I'm going to put the width just to 3, and I'm going to start with a very small length. And then I'm going to put the length up, and then I'm going to put it up some more. And up some more. And so you can see that all of these stitches are made with the same zigzag stitch, and it changes the width and then changes the length of the stitch. Okay, it's really good to spend a bit of time playing with that. When you have finished stitching, you'll see that your threads tend to stay on the plate. I did cut them. There is a hook at the side, and most sewing machines will have this, that has a little cutter on the side, so see if your machine has that, and then pull your threads longer and push them behind, and that stops it creating a knot at the back. Sometimes you'll see there's a knot when you've started sewing, you'll get a knot at the beginning at the back, and that's these threads getting caught up. So I'd like you to just have some time playing with those, seeing what everything does. You can literally go through and try all the different stitches. I'm going to show you just one or two of the embroidery stitches on this machine. So we've got number 30, which is stars. I'm just going to pop my foot down, and it's just going to stitch it all by itself. And then let's do number 27. And you can see I'm not even touching it, I'm just letting it do its own job. Trust your tools. And you can see that it's making these pretty stitches, embroidery stitches. So just have a bit of fun playing around, okay? So I just want to talk you through some basic machine maintenance. There's a couple of things that are really useful to know. So on the back there is a button, and if you press that, the foot will drop off. When you look in here, there is a bar across the front, and when you replace the foot, all of the different feet have the same bar across the front. So when you replace the foot, you're going to hold it with your finger and thumb, and at the side, if you look underneath the shank, there is actually a little arch, and as you lower the shank down with your lever, it will click directly onto the bar, okay? And when you lift it up, that will hold the foot. So that is how you change the different feet. They will always have a bar, and you just clip it onto that. Occasionally, some more basic machines, you will just physically pull it off, but most machines will have a button at the back. Okay. The next thing is that, I'll just take the thread out. The next thing is that this metal plate is removable. You have a little tool like this, a screwdriver is fine, and you can undo the screw on the left here. A lot of people are terrified of touching their machines, but this is meant to be removed. And if there's any problems with your machine, this is the first thing to do. So just take out this plate, put it to the side, and in here you'll see there's lots of fluff and things get stuck. Sometimes you'll get thread, it will be a knot form underneath, and so you can't pull it out. It will be stuck around these metal little metal pieces here, so you actually need to take this off to pull the thread out. In here there'll be lots of dust and fluff, and you want to take a small paintbrush and take the fluff out. This will hugely prolong the life of your sewing machine if you do this regularly. You can also remove this piece. It just slides out, and then you can get in. Give it a good blow. You can also use the air blowers that are used for computers. They're great to use as well. So then you're going to take your little bobbin holder, and you're going to slide it, just drop it back into place. Take your metal plate, slide it, drop it back into place, and do the screw up. Okay, the only other thing that I wanted to show you is how to change the needle. So there is a little screw on the top, on the right of the needle, and you twist that and the needle will drop down. Okay, there's a flat side and a rounded side to the needle. You place the flat side to the back and poke it up inside. There is actually a little window that you will see the needle inside the top, and then once it's up in place you tighten the screw. So that's all the basic maintenance we're going to cover. You don't want to be taking anything else apart. When it comes to oiling, things like that, don't worry about that for the time being. That's something you can look into at a later date. It is good to have your machine serviced every so often, depending more on how much you use it rather than time. It generally costs about £50 to have it serviced, so the more that you can just keep it in good condition as you go along, the less you are going to need to have it serviced. So hopefully this video has helped you to get to grips with threading your machine. Do practice at least 5 times. When in my physical classes I make everyone do it at least 5 times, and everyone dislikes me for a while because it's quite time consuming at the beginning, but it really does lay the foundations for ease of use later on, so it's definitely worth getting to grips with it now. As I said, I'm going to do a whole little video on tension next, and it'll be a separate video to open so that you can look at it later if you need to go back to it. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.